Hey everybody, this is Neil. I'm going to be one of the admins for this upcoming Sunday ACC GT3 series. Particularly, I've been tasked with selecting all the tracks, determining the schedule, the race formats, and of course the weather settings, which we're going to talk about a little bit today. First, just a little bit on how I selected the tracks. I got a total of 27 survey responses, which was great, and the results are summarized here. And I went with a strategy similar to how like Pro Motocross does it, or really any other race series that has multiple heats to determine an overall winner. And that was just to rank the amount of votes each track got as a top three and also as a bottom three. So that for tracks like Bathurst and Kyalami that got both a lot of top three votes, but very few bottom three votes, ended up ranked the highest. Now, once I had all of the tracks ranked relative to each other, I was able to normalize them such that a 0 represented an average ranked track, which ends up being Zolder and Misano. And luckily, the 9 rounds are made up of the 9 tracks that were all in the positive, from Suzuka up to Bathurst. So before we get into any dice rolling, just wanted to give a little bit of background about how I was going to set up the servers and how I'm selecting the weather for all the rounds. So I really wanted to make it realistic to the current climate that is in each of these locations. So for the month of October, I looked at each location's expected or average days of rain. I looked at their average hours of sunshine, and lastly, their daily high temperature as an average throughout the month of October. So I did that because I thought it would be kind of cool just to be racing in similar weather, similar situations that the actual locations would be experiencing this time of year if we were actually to be racing in that location. So for the clouds, you can see Donington is the highest, the cloudiest, and places like Kyalami and Bathurst would have the lowest clouds because they have the most hours of sun. And this is the actual number I plan on using in the server as well. Same thing with the daily high temperatures. I'll be using those as the average temp upon which the temperature simulation, the weather simulation within ACC is centered. Now, to determine which rounds are going to actually have rain or the strong potential for rain, I used the survey results to determine that approximately 2 races would be the desired or the ideal amount of races that may have rain or that were likely to have rain. So that's 22% of the races, meaning that as I roll the dice, hopefully about 20 to 25% of the races will end up having rain. Now for comparison, here's the system that Michael Magus uses, where he rolls 2d6, which results in the following spread. I'm going to go ahead and just roll 1d20 with the following spread, as summarized here in these percentages. You can see I'm actually quite similar to Magus's system. So instead of doing it digitally like he does, I am actually going to roll some of my D&D dice, which I have right here that I'm very excited to use. So let's just jump right into it. So we'll just go right down the list, starting with Bathurst. As a natural 20, that's a good way to start. Next is Kyalami, which is a 2, likely going to be a wet weather race there. Four for Hungaroring. 15 at Donington. Imola is at 12. A 7 at Brands Hatch. That'll be mixed conditions. A 9 for Nürburgring. Dry. 14 at Spa, actually dry. And finally a 3 at Suzuka, which will be mixed conditions. So you can see here that we have probably 3, maybe 2.5 days of rain. So I think I'll go ahead and make the wild card a dry race, meaning that we will hit our desired number of 2 out of 9 races being wet. I think 2.5 kind of fits the bill. So you will see the schedule and the race formats and the weather posted for this upcoming season very shortly, probably in the next week or so. And then the week before each round, I will post the server settings so that whether you use single player or you have your own server, you will know how to set up the weather so that you can have at least a somewhat representative simulation for what to expect on the race day.